So I've been FDM 3D printing for a while now, as you've probably seen from my other videos, and there's something I've got to be honest about. I don't care. And when I say I don't care, I don't mean that I don't care about the printers, I don't care about FDM printing, but I don't care about most of the stuff that make the other YouTube channels go crazy. What I care about is this easy to set up, does it work out of the box, and can I easily get good prints? That's what this channel's all about. So hi, I'm Ross, and this is Fohammer Videos. So look, I've got to be honest, when I got this printer, I was kind of in a I really don't care about FDM kind of attitude, and that's totally changed now since I've used it. But it was very much a time when I was like, I've just come off the back of doing the review of the Chiditech X+3, which if you saw that review you'll know was hot garbage in my opinion, and they've since actually stopped selling that machine. And it really soured me to FDM printing because I print miniatures, and the biggest thing I tend to print is terrain for those miniatures. And the reason why I want an FDM printer is so that I can print larger objects, but when you're talking at things that are miniature scale, they've got a big problem, and that problem is layer lines. They're a nightmare, and they're everywhere when it comes to FDM printing. Until now. So the Kobra Neo is an absolutely fantastic printer, and it's a sequel to one of Anycubic's best printers they ever made, so much so that it was actually rated #1 on many lists for a top budget entry-level 3D FDM printer. And this new model comes with a build size of 220 by 220 by 250 millimeters. But the thing I was really interested in, and I've not seen any other channel check out on any FDM printers, is its lowest layer thickness, because it said in the manual this is capable from anything at 0.05 millimeters, so that's 50 microns, equivalent to what we're printing on resin printers nowadays, all the way up to 0.3 millimeters. And that's what I wanted to test, what prints looked like at that smallest layer height setting. So popping it out of the box, setup was an absolute breeze, and yeah, if you're new to FDM printers this may take you a little bit of time, but I managed to get this set up in about 20-30 minutes. It's mostly built for you, and all you need to do is attach the frame to the base and then plug in some cables. It's really simple and straightforward. Anyone who's used a Meccano kit at any point in their life shouldn't have any trouble with it. It can just be a little bit awkward, but if you use the foam in the box to support it as it's moved around to different angles, you should be absolutely fine. But yeah, some of the side sticky out bits on the frame, such as the actual print head, can get in the way. But the things I don't care about with 3D printers, and I'm taking a huge gamble here that the people who watch my channel don't care either, they don't want to care if the nozzles are fictitious 478-3000 with 70 RPM and such coating. They just want to know whether or not you can turn it on and get it working really simply and really easily. Yeah, you absolutely can, and it's blooming fast. When you look at the manual, it says that you can print at 150 millimeters a second, and I've seen online up to 250. That's at least the movement speed anyway. I don't know if you can print at that speed. I have seen printers that fast, but unfortunately when you start going above 150 millimeters a second, physics really comes into play, and the problem with that is the plastic simply can't cool fast enough as the nozzle is darting around laying out a track everywhere. And whilst the comparable metric that most people use is how long does it take to print a Benchy, well again, the adverts show that this can print a Benchy at 0.28 millimeters layer height in 30 minutes. I left it at 1.2 millimeters and it took me an hour and a half. But compared to the other printers I've used, which are running at about 50 millimeters a second, this is lightning fast. And even though it did take a while for me to print a Benchy, for anyone who's seen my social posts on the Wolverine bust I printed that took around 20 days at 0.06 layer height, then you'll understand that I can quite happily be patient so long as it results in a high quality print. So whilst the manual did say that it would print from 0.05 millimeters all the way up to 0.3 millimeters, I didn't read the manual. I'm a bit of a stickler for doing this. Yes, I should probably read the manual, but if I read the manual, then how can I test how easy this is to set up and how intuitive it is? It's a little bit of a double-edged sword that I tend to apply in most of my videos, and it's also my excuse as to why I don't bother reading manuals. And if you've got a problem with this, then, well, I'd say comment, but you're gonna. However, when I got it into the slicer, I noticed that the lowest layer height I could choose was 0.04mm, and that's what I chose for doing my detailed prints that I'll show later on in this video. And I also want to do a shout out to Sunlu, who provided this blue PLA filament that I've used for all the prints here. I really do like this. I'm starting to warm to Sunlu, and they may actually soon become my default go-to filament brand. Once I'd done the benchy, I then went to print another one of the test files which was included on the TF card with this printer. And I really like this little articulated dinosaur. It's a good little test print and it took no time at all. My son absolutely loved it, but I don't know why they put a brim around the entire test print, because all this needed to be pulled off before I could actually use it. So it's a good model to have, but I don't think anybody really thought about this when they actually sliced it and gave it to us on the card. It's not the biggest problem in the world, but it just would have been better if you didn't put the brim on there. I'm sure it would have printed just fine. I do need to shout about just how few problems I had with this printer. The best thing about it is the bed leveling is fully automated. There's no knobs or dials to twist. You literally tell it level the bed and it goes, okay, I'll do that for you, and then it's done. And it even has a compensation calibration with this weird little nodule at the back. I've no idea how it works. I don't care how it works. I'm a dummy when it comes to FDM printing, but it works, and that's what matters to me. And I'm really glad that, unlike a previous printer I reviewed, I was finally able to print a Batman helmet at 100% scale. This didn't fit on some previous beds, and whilst this bed here isn't huge and you might struggle with some helmets, I could at least get this off here, so by the time it comes to Halloween, hopefully my son will have at least half a Batman costume. The downside of this specific print, however, is that unfortunately you can't fit a head inside it, and I've got no idea how to cleanly slice up prints at certain edges so we can get this on his head. So seriously, if you can help me slice this up, and I mean slice it down the actual recesses on the model, then give me a shout. Just shout down in the comments below, because I'd love to get this printed for him, and he's super excited to go as Batman to the Halloween party. What I'm most pleased with though is when I printed some of this HVAC tunnels terrain from the Dragon's Rest, I'm actually building this and I'm trying to use every FDM printer I review to slowly build up a full Space Hulk scenario. It was absolutely incredible. This is at 0.04mm, or at least that's what the setting was, because I'd read somewhere that the minimum step distance is 0.04mm, and this looks absolutely insane. This is almost resin quality. Yes, just due to the nature of how plastics work, you do get some slight ridges, but if you look down the edge of this model, you'll actually notice that the edges and ridges in it are more because of the low poly count of the actual model scaled up to this scale rather than the actual ridges of the layers themselves. The one thing about it that is a bit of a double-edged sword is the fan, and I think the fan has to be really fast in order to push enough air to cool the plastic at the speeds this is going at. The drawback is it's very loud, and no, I don't mean loud as in the bearings gone. You can tell mechanical failure in a 3D printer versus how much sound even is being made just from the airflow alone. This is the latter. This was sat the other side of the room from what I work in, and it was quite distracting all day to the point that I needed to put headphones on. So if you need a printer that's super quiet, this might not be the one for you, but in all honesty, it doesn't really bother me that much. I can always just move away from it, or due to the fact that it's quite small, I can easily move this to another room and just have it printing elsewhere. But honestly, I'm super happy with it. I was shocked how simple this was. Anycubic have really thought about the beginner here. Not only have they given us a nice and easy entry-level price point, you get a decent bed size, and the printer, at least in my case, just worked. And when I stepped down the layer height to as small as I could get it, that's the only setting I changed in the slicer. I didn't have to change flow rate or extrusion or anything like that. I literally built this printer, sliced models, and put them in, and they worked with no problems whatsoever. It's almost plug and play. So if that's what you're looking for, yeah, definitely worth picking one up. Excellent place to start, and until I learn more about FDM printers, I'm probably going to stick to using this one for a while for anything I want to print for myself. I'm lazy, it's easy, it works, I'm done. If you want to know more about this printer, I would say definitely check out some other channels and some other videos, but I hope this has been at least useful to most of you who, like me, don't care and just want to get a printer that works. If that's you, get this one. It just works. I want to say thanks to watching, and especially to our patrons who are supporting us, because without them, we wouldn't be able to put the time in to make content like this. If you want to get your name up in lights, then please consider joining us. And I am thinking of trying to do something soon where I can give back to the community a little bit more, because it's growing quite large now. I'm trying to reach out to some model creators. Maybe we can get some exclusive STLs on there, either FDM or resin, more than likely resin, but something detailed enough that you can also print on FDM as well. We do have some exclusive content such as how to print videos. Again, most of my stuff is resin focused, so that's what you'll find there first. But if you did like this content, then please drop me a like, drop me a comment telling me what you did, and especially what you didn't like. I wouldn't mind some more negative views on the channel. But until next time, I just want to say thank you for watching. Fohammer out.